go. We are online. We are online and we are on. We are live for all the world. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you all that have come today for one more program. Bom saber. In English, should be good to know. Good to know. In English,
Oh,
thank you very
that's
much.
really great.
That's why the name of the program is Good to Know, because we need to know everything about many things that really we don't know. I'm very happy. Thank you very much, and thank you for good evening for India, and good morning for Brazil, and good afternoon for many countries in Europe, the United States. We have friends all around the world that are here now attending our class, our classes, our interview. Thank you. And today we have a very special guest, and this guest she's on vacation, but she said no, we are going to be there. Thank you very much. And today we have first of all, I consider her, she's my friend, mediator friend of mine, Sonal Kharbanda. Is that the correct pronunciation? Sonal Kharbanda? Is that correct pronunciation?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
thank,
yes. It is correct. It is Kharbanda, but yes, it is correct because I understand when we talk, pronunciation is intrinsic to the location, to the language that we speak. So it is correct.
is but the correct pronunciation Kharbanda, Kharbanda, Kharbanda,
Kharbanda.
Kharbanda. Thank you.
Kha.
I thought
Yes.
Kach. Yeah, good. I thought
Yes.
the R was like car, Kharbanda. Well, thank you very much. So
Yes.
now, thank you very much. By the way, so now she's advocate, she's a lawyer and a mediator. She's based in New Delhi and currently located in Sangrur, Punjab. Sangrur,
Yes.
Punjab.
Sangrur,
Founder
Punjab.
of
That's a small
Sangrur,
district in
Punjab.
Punjab.
Ah, that's
Yes.
right. And she is the founder of the Rectitude ADR.
Rectitude
Perfect,
area.
Rectitude, perfect, really. So now, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here with us. And the topic today, it's very interesting because I love this family mediation. By the way, I can confess you that I'm a little bit afraid of family mediation. I don't know why, but I think that is one of the mediation are not complicated, but very delicate, very fine to treat. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to us, Kharbanda. Thank you, Sonal.
It's a pleasure, Professor. It's lovely to be here. It's lovely to interact with you and with all the people who are seeing. Namaste from India, and we are. It's a pleasure to be joining the world together on one platform, and mediators are around the world working towards peace and peace building. And this is really great to be associated with friends and people from Brazil. So
Oh,
that's
thank
a
you.
lovely feeling.
I'm sure that Brazil and India, we have a very strong place. We have a very strong connection. Brazil and India, we are very near. We are like sisters and brothers. That's what I feel. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. My friend Sonal, everybody
Yeah.
comes here. I have some questions. We have questions here that people give us, and we have the in YouTube. You that are now in YouTube, attending this program, watching with us right now. If you want to ask some question to Sonal, please ask about family mediation, about mediation. Now you have the opportunity to learning from Sonal. She's a great mediator. She has a very wonderful and great knowledge about mediation. And one thing that I admire in you very much, it's because you're not only a mediator, because I know I am 63 years old, and I have been walking around all the world. I have met a lot of mediators, but still, I have met mediator with the soul of a mediator, with the spirit of a mediator. It's different. I think it's very different. You are a mediator, but you need to have this soul, and this soul comes from your inner inside in you, and I felt in our first meeting, you have the soul of the mediator. That's the point. Congratulations, I believe. Okay, but the first question.
Professor, that
Yes, yes.
that was first of all a very, very, very good, warm compliment. It's dear to my heart, and a good soul, I should say, can only see the goodness in others. So you yourself are a very good soul, Professor, and that shows that you have the eyesight to see through people, and that's really great. That's
Oh,
really good.
thank you very much. That's right. So we are two mediator souls, two mediator souls that meet together. It's great. So it's a good environment today. But my first, all the question, I always make the first question for our guest is, because you are a lawyer, you are advocate, and I have sometimes I have a very hard opinion about that. We are a lawyer, but we cannot be lawyer and advocate at the same time. They are incompatible. There's two different ways of treating people. My question is, why have you decided to be a mediator too? You're a lawyer, but said, no, I'm going to be a mediator. What have touched you? What have touched your soul that you decide, no, I'm going to be a mediator? Please.
Well, Professor, luckily, I should say for me, I got just after college, I got married to an army officer, and so I was roaming around the whole country, uh, practicing wherever I could get in district courts, smaller courts, and smaller matters. But I have handled a lot of cases with my seniors, both in criminal, family, income tax, and I was with a tax magazine making synopsis of Supreme Court judgments and all. So that was a publishing house, and I was an assistant editor, legal side. So slowly and slowly, it dawned on to me when I started looking at the cases and how things were being handled in the courts. I realized that these people who have had disputes, they would be standing in front of a judge almost like criminals, that they have done something wrong. When you realize that something wrong has actually happened to them, they are going through the most troubled times of their life, when their family is disintegrating. They have had bad experience, maybe in marriage, maybe in other relations, and they are the ones who are troubled, and they are standing almost in front of a judge with no voice of theirs, because in the court you are represented by an advocate, a counsel, and you are not supposed to speak until and unless you are spoken to. So the judge has the discretion to decide to let you speak or your lawyer speaks. So obviously the lawyer speaks. And then as I was practicing, I was reading the averments by the lawyers, and I found a pattern in it which really saddened me, because most of the time it was like for the legal system, it's very sadly so, because it was not earlier, but then the court cases, so many of them, people have started minting money through the ways of, if two people are have to be separated, let's make the most out of it. So copy pasting and governments are almost identical. It's like a fight going on in the courts, how much more one can achieve from a particular case, how much more you can get to your client so that you can get a fat piece. It's almost like misery of people is being turned into money. So that kind of a profession, when you see, you really feel sad for humanity. And the most important thing that you feel is that in all the deed, there are one or two, there is one clearly one relation, one people, one voice that is being affected, and that voice is not even heard in the courts. Those are the children. Their future is the most affected when families are disintegrating, when there is turmoil in the family, and they don't even have a voice in court systems. I don't know how it goes in Brazil now.
Yeah.
Yes, recently all the family court lawyer judges also have tried, and they are trying to get a humane approach. They are considering the children and the cause of the children and first, and how they are dealing, but it is their own effort. You see, there is
Great.
no procedure that is happening, and there are no guidelines that are happening. Sadly, so because of the system that developed, that so many court cases have suddenly so many divorce cases. India is still still last among, if you see the statistics. Indian divorce rate is still far less in the world as compared to others, but still, as far as population is concerned, it is considerably high. And suddenly, even the legal system was taken aback with so much rush of cases that nobody realized that ultimately in these divorce cases or in these cases, the children are the ones who are suffering. And this really brought me to it that I have to give a voice to those who are not being heard. And I have to, at least, even if things have to happen, if there is a disintegration, at least I have to see that, at least go towards that direction, that kids are being taken care of, or the families are being taken, their most turmoil times is taken care of. So this idea, I should say, germinated into me. And then I thought of Rectitude ADR was born in 2021. Before that, I took up a training course and I did my post graduation in the ADR. And
Oh, great.
then I finally ventured into 2021 with my own startup to start this. And then I started an awareness campaign. So that's basically how it started.
Perfect. Yours. Look, I have here a heart that always when people give me good answer or things that touch me, I normally say, "You got my heart. Congratulations, really. My heart for you, Sonal." So your answer about you give people voices to people. For me, that's the most important because we are that what we are mediator. We helping people to have their own voice. They speak for themselves. Congratulations. That's why I told you, you have the soul of a mediator. It's not, you are not a mediator. You got the spirit, the soul. That's, that's count a lot of for me. Thank you. Well, another question that's, it's very common. I don't like, I don't know your opinion, but people say, no, mediation is to unburden, because the court is very occupied, it's full of process, and mediation comes to unburden the court. What is opinion? I don't agree with this expression, but what's your opinion about this? Is the mediation, family mediation principally, is to make the court work easier, to onboard, or to really to, as I told you, to give the voice to the families?
Well, Professor, I think both should be true in both in the in similar respects. First, the families get a voice. as I told you, when court proceedings are there, it's the lawyer or the counsel there who speaks. The
Yes.
families are not given any voice because that's how the court procedure is. You are represented by a lawyer and a counsel, and you have to hear that through that person. But when we talk about mediation, you are at a table, you have a voice, and it is your voice, your decision, your agreement in the end that matters. And the court is just going to, or if the final agreement goes, it has to be that there should be no gross injustice being done to anybody in both, both the represented parties.
Yes.
So I think both are true. First, that the families get a voice, and secondly, when you see the court procedure, there are cases that come, and sometimes the court is also baffled. They do not understand. Their hands are tied and they are hard pressed for time. Even if the court system or the lawyers or the judges want to do something good, they are hard pressed for the time, and there are so many cases there in the court system. So it's a good process that the emotional part, the whatever the families or the parties want, that is being taken care of by the mediation. And only if certain things are not being able to decide, then they come to legal process or the judiciary. So there is a shifting of cases, and sometimes it is speeding up the work of the judiciary also. So I think both your statements should be correct.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very good. Very good. Well, we know that mediation, there are many, many situations in family mediation. I told you before, as a matter, I think that family mediation is very delicate. It's something very not easy. It's not easy to be a family mediator. It's not easy because I think, in my opinion, in this area, you have great facility to be involved emotionally. It's not easy because family involve many situations of emotion. Emotions are very, very, very high, very high. People are really uh, full of emotion. But what are the most common case that you know that you have already mediated in mediation, family mediation? The most common. Your microphone is mute.
I think I got your question correctly. That what is a challenge to family mediation? This is what you wanted to ask.
Yes, true.
Heart. Uh, so when we talk about family mediation, uh, one thing that, in my opinion, that is a challenge for every mediator is a neutrality. And when we talk about neutrality, supposing I am a female, now we have a family mediation going on. So there are perceptual biases that have to be handled by a mediator. There will be a gentleman and there will be a lady. Now,
Okay.
the moment you sit there, there will be the first thought that would go into the gentleman's mind is that she is a lady mediator. She is going to support the lady only. So that's a gender bias that
Yes.
a mediator has to handle. And then and to handle this situation, you cannot, supposing there is a lady who, in the mediation, the lady starts crying. Now, the gentlemen generally do not cry. The
Yes.
moment you show a little bit of empathy or sympathy, then again the bias goes. So, showing neutrality, you are neutral. One person is neutral, a mediator. but you should seem to be neutral also. So you have to have a very disciplined demeanor. You know, there are body language going on, especially in family mediation. There are eyes being glanced. There are there's a lot of being spoken in the mediation room that is not vocal. So one a mediator has to be very very balanced, a very discreet approach, a very a very responsible
Yes.
stand you have to take. So that is one of the biggest challenge. First thing is neutrality. Then the challenge of emotion. Obviously, this kind of a mediation is very emotionally charged. So now you have to handle the emotions of these both parties. And then, Professor, I would say, have you seen the children playing Ringa Ringa Roses? Do you know Ringa Ringa Roses or
Yes, I
merry-go-round
know.
that they play?
Yes, I
Yeah,
know. Yes, I have.
yeah. So basically, family mediation is something that happening. They're playing Ringa Ringa Roses. Now you can't play
Yes,
the Ringa Ringa Roses with them, but they
yes.
are at that emotional state that you'd have to allow them the Ringa Ringa Roses kind of an environment. I mean, you cannot stop them because then that emotion needs to flow. That emotion needs to vent out, and the moment it will be vented out, the cloud will be clearing and the environment will be safe enough for both of them, and they will start seeing logic in their own voice. So that is another challenge, that to take the position they are holding, to take them from position to interest is becoming it becomes very difficult. So that is very very difficult. Now you cannot show sympathy, you have to show empathy. The moment you there are you cannot as a mediator, you are not going to decide the wrong and the right of it, and there in the emotions that are flowing, there might be that they need some kind of a validation. You can validate their emotions, but you cannot validate whatever they are saying. So in an environment, sometimes you have to tell them, okay, I see where you have been hurt, and I understand that you have been hurt. uh, but let's talk about how you felt and why you felt, and what kind of a behavior is that you did not expect from the person. Let's talk about that behavior. So slowly and slowly you have to take them from their position which they are holding a sympathy position. They are in a sympathy mode. They're feeling pathetic for themselves. So you have to take them to logic and reasoning. So that is one more challenge. Then there's a lot of first word things going on from targeted person. A lot of blame game going on,
Yes.
that he did something wrong to me, he did this to me, and she did this to me, she is so devil, and he doesn't know how to. So all this kind of thing is happening. So then comes this role of a mediator in rephrasing that. So most of the times I will say, from the targeted person, the conversation has to come to the speaker. So I will say, you mean to say that you felt hurt when this person did this. So the focus shifts from that person to myself, how my emotions were, how I felt bad. And when you say that, the other person or the other party immediately realizes that it's not my behavior, my thing, but she got hurt. That is the problem. You know, uh, when she is saying that he doesn't know how to behave properly. So instead, you rephrase it and say, I, that means she. You tell that person that, she felt hurt when you behaved in this particular fashion. So she doesn't have a problem with you as a human being. She has a problem with this kind of a behavior which hurts her. So that immediately softens the and the outlook changes. So from the speaker, the focus is not on the person and his his being bad on the person, but the particular behavior that has hurt this person, and then things move on in that direction. So that is how the conversation has to be molded and reframed. Then when I was talking about how to shift the focus from the position to the interest, the first thing that I, as a mediator, handle, and I think I feel confident in doing that, is there is always some common reason why both the parties are at the table. So there are times that you have to, find that common ground and make the parties move toward the common ground so that they leave their individual position.
Yes.
The common interest that they are here for, and especially in when it's a divorce case, then if their kids are there, so that is a common ground, common interest that they both would be interested in. So we immediately shift the focus from their position to that common interest, and then slowly we'll handle all other interests that are individual, maybe the finances, maybe the important jewelry, or maybe the land and bank accounts. There are so many things that come later on. So we try to focus on something that is going to make them immediately leave their position and start working on that common interest and work towards it, because both of them are obviously interested in that common interest. So that is also a challenge, but that's how we work towards it.
Great, great. Well, I'm going to give you my heart again. You said two things that for me is very important. My heart for you answer: impartiality and neutrality. Next Thursday, I'm going to make a webinar, and I'm going to talk about abusive mediation. Is it possible? Yes. One of the things that occur in abuse in mediation is when the mediator is out of control of his neutrality. You said something very important. You rephrase the things. You change the focus on position, on opinion to interest. Perfect. Dr. William Udy, a colleague, friend of mine, and said once that we have to separate person from the problem. That's the point. You have to change. Great. Your opinion about neutrality, and I see sometimes mediators trying to work as to make like a therapy, or giving opinion how to reach an agreement. No, you're right. That have to see. You have to change their position to the perfect. You really, I think we are very similar in our mediate. I like this mediation method. I believe in restorative mediation. Restore is possible, and when it's possible to resolve, perfect. But sometimes not possible. We manage it. Perfect. We have now for you another question for you is
Sure,
the most the final question for you, the last question. The common we have, for example, I have already one case about family mediation that the daughter didn't like the boyfriend of her mother. She hated him. And her mother was in love for him. And this mediation came to me. And my question is, how many types of mediation, what types of mediation cases of family is very common for you to work in your day-to-day divorce, which is the most common?
Yes, interestingly, as far as culture of India is concerned, we have a lot of joint family systems where husband and wife live with the parents of the husband. Then they could be unmarried brother and sister living with them. So that becomes a very joint family system. Now, generally in India, the culture is that when a lady marries, she comes to the family, live with the family of the husband, and it's generally the marriage between the families. It's more of a family affair. Now, when there are so many parties involved, there are bound to be disputes between them. So that those kind of cases very often come where a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are having conflict, and then the gentleman or the husband is sandwiched between the parents. He cannot leave the parents. He cannot, there are differences, and the conflicts are coming. Mostly, these are the cases that come in India on, family mediation table. I had a very interesting case recently, and that was that a gentleman wanted to uh, get away, or wanted his parents. He had written a criminal complaint that I want my parents to uh, intestate me, to leave me totally, and I want to have almost like nothing to do with my parents or their property or anything. And the parents were willing to keep the daughter-in-law with them. So that was a very strange case that they want to give up their son, but they want to keep the daughter-in-law and their grandchild. So when it occurred to me, and I asked them, and to caucus sessions also, and joint sessions also. So everybody came to my knowledge that the daughter-in-law, they married very early, and they had spent a lot of money on her education, and now she was earning, and they were all very congenial, and the son was not very well, doing very well in his career, and he used to have, his respect was going down. So all kind of cases do come up, and
Yes.
we have to try and find good solutions for the benefit of the child involved. Mostly my mediation generally happens where it is really child focused. My first question is what would happen to the child, how and who is going to support the child, how the child is going to get the love of both the parents, even grandparents, because for a child, everybody in the family is important because they have been growing in such an environment where they have got the love of and care of parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, nieces, nephews. So how could the child be taken away from that environment? That's one or two kind of cases that come to India, and they have their own peculiar cultural diversity because uh, of sometimes intercaste marriage, parents not willing to accept the relationship of their children. It's like India is more focused on family system, and we have to look at it from that direction also.
Perfect.
So these are a few cases that come.
Perfect. Perfect. So now, well, it was really a class, not a session, but a class about family mediation. Your words really, I learned a lot from you today. It was a great moment. I thank you. I thank you to everybody that's watching now us. And I would like you give us your last words, some consideration. What message you leave to us?
Well, Professor, I think the field of mediation is very beautiful. It's a journey of transformation, not only for others, but for self, because the amount of discipline, the amount of patience, the amount of maturity that a person requires, because there are sometimes cases which come, and uh, let's talk about domestic violence cases also that come, and suddenly your demeanor should be so discreet that you should not show that you have understood, because there are times when the aggressor would not like that to know that you have understood. And even if your demeanor or your glance or your body language shows that you have understood, and in such cases you have to have a very discreet, a very mature outlook, because both the people might be living under the same house, and the moment something that uh, can trigger, and their life can the life of the victim can become much more difficult. So it requires a lot of discipline from a person who's sitting on the table, because he or she is the only logical thinking person at that moment in that room, and you have to, guide them through those tough times where when they have come to you. So it's almost like they are not in their best emotional IQ. They are emotionally compromised people. They need to be handled with a lot of care, with a lot of compassion, with a lot of empathy. At the same time, being a very discreet, not being judgmental on their issues. So I think if a mediator has to work, he or she has to be a very disciplined person.
Yes, thank
Maturity and
you.
discipline, I think that is one thing that goes a long
Discipline is
way
all.
in this.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Once more, my heart for you that's watching
And my
our
heart
program.
for a
Oh,
heart from
beautiful.
my
Look,
side
no,
also.
no, I'm sorry. It needs, I'm sorry. Stay like that, please. Beautiful. Just a moment, please. Oh,
Okay.
beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Sonal.
So
Thank you
a
very much. Let me
heart
take
from my side
a moment,
also.
please. Again, please, you again.
Good.
Your heart, please. Sonal, your heart.
Yes, please. A heart from my side to all mediators all around the world who are watching. So this is a very good feeling. And hi from my side, from India, a heart from India to all the Brazil friends and to everybody around the world who are watching. So it's really, India is a land of very, very, very compassionate, very empathetic, and very lovely people, and we love the world to go towards the peaceful side, and we hope that mediation uh, ex- brings the world together.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye,
Thank you
Sonal. Thank
and
you.
namaste. Bye.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste.